Dude, what's up, everybody? This is going to be my review on the Bisonte C45, the Italian Heavy Premium. We still don't know how we're going to get it. I've been saying for months it's going to be in the loot boxes, but we still haven't had it confirmed to my knowledge. We'll be looking at this today. This will be the garage portion. We're going to do the gameplay portion a little bit different compared to normal, and I'll explain that in just a few minutes. But we'll look at this thing with no crew, no equipment, just this is when you get it. What are you going to get with it? You could see on the right hand side here, I'll try and move the camera so you could read that easier. We have 360 alpha, 218 base pen, which is not too bad. It's pretty comfortable. The reload's pretty long. We only have 1877 DPM, but that's not the worst issue in the world, and I'll show you why in just a minute. Gun traverse, it's there if you care about that. It's not unbelievably bad, so that is what it is. 10 degrees of gun and depression along with 20 elevation. Here's where the tank really runs into its first significant issue. 2.5 second aim time, well 2.6 really, base, and 0.4 dispersion. That's really brutal. I'm not saying you can't do well with it. You absolutely can, but it can be pretty frustrating. We have 1400 hit points, 135 hull armor, 185 turret armor. This thing acts very well in a hull down. When you really, get those 10 degrees working, you can get away with some pretty silly stuff. It feels very comfortable on a ridgeline, which I'm sure is great news for some of you, and quite frankly, awful news for others of you. You can see we have 80 armor on the side of the turret and 75 on the side of the hull, but we do have these side skirts, so that should be able to take HE very comfortably. We have 30 on the rear of the hull, which is very HE weak, so this thing could get HE pen very, very easily. I expect a lot of artillery pens in its future, and 50 on the rear of the turret, so again, very HE-able at this tier. Now, if we look at the second issue, or the thing that I find to be another issue, is the mobility kind of feels like a lie. It will hit 50 if you're running around on a track and field meet, but if you're getting this and expecting it to go 50, I mean, I played a game on Westfield trying to familiarize myself with this tank. In the start, I'm sure you can imagine Westfield, up at the heavy area, I was hitting 27 on flat ground. The terrain resistances on this feel really terrible. Remarkably bad. But we'll see that in the game we played. Well, you don't know about that yet, but bear with me. We have a 15km/h reverse speed. That feels pretty nice. I wish it was 20, but if it was 20, it wouldn't really be a heavy at that point. We've got a 27-degree traverse speed again, same as the gun traverse, which is kind of cool. 8.9% camo with no crew, no nothing. We do have 380 meters base view range, which is pretty nice. But anyway, that should cover it for the statistics of the vehicle portion. We will discuss one last thing, which is the pen. I mentioned the 218 on the AP with 1155, or, well, yeah, 1155 velocity on the AP, which is pretty nice. That's very comfortable, but it really sucks on the heat. 800. This thing very much wants to be a brawler and is built to be a brawler, but not necessarily a traditional one where you could brawl on a city. I'm not saying you can't, but this thing shines on a ridgeline. That is, it's home, and really it's bread and butter. Where the velocity is not an issue, the pen's very nice, the turret armor works, you're not moving too much. That's just what this thing does best. Now, as I was mentioning before, let's kit this thing out. While I do that, I'll tell you how we're going to do the gameplay portion. So normally I would do a live gameplay session to show you guys what's going on. However, I've played a few games in this, and I've come to the shocking conclusion that, my god, it is getting focused very, very remarkably hard. And I'm going to be here for an immense amount of time trying to get you a respectable game. Not even a respectable game. My first game, my very first one on Westfield, I showed up, there was 3 arty, I got focused, I died with 1000 damage. That doesn't really show you guys what this thing can do and is capable of. It definitely doesn't love HE, but you can kind of get an idea of it's not really very helpful to watch 1,000 damage game, you know? So we're gonna hop into the game in just a second, and I'll walk you guys through a game I had. Let's talk about the gameplay portion. So as I mentioned, I'm gonna handle this a little bit differently. Normally this would be a live gameplay, but this is a game I played earlier. I mentioned in the garage area that I played this on Westfield, and I got absolutely smashed by Triple RD. I died with about 1,000 damage, which is roughly what this magazine does if you mag dump. That's not great. I chose to do a game review instead of a live review, because with this being so new and only in the hands of a few people on the North American server, the amount of artillery focus is ridiculous, if I'm gonna be honest. But regardless, let's talk about this. So I'm going to the one place that I'm hoping most of you would realize I would go, based on the garage portion if you watch that. This thing lives to be in a hull down. It's pretty rough otherwise. I'm not saying you can't do well on flat ground and stuff, but it's not ideal. That was a really poor shot. You can see I shift my fire for his drive wheel. We get 2 rounds in there. I'm playing this thing very much like a normal Progetto. However, one thing to note, these things do have... Well, when I say these things, I mean the Italian heavy line. The autoloading mechanic is different. As I understand it, okay? I very well could be wrong, but as I understand it, the gun on this works similar to Gears of War, if you ever play Gears of War, where you see here, if you keep an eye, right on this counter, that the little black markers to the left and right, you can see them right here and here. When they go white, and you'll see here, right there, when they go white, I think if you fire in that time frame, you'll get away with like a faster reload. I'm still playing it to try and understand exactly how it works, but I don't think I have a firm grasp on it yet. I'll be playing this a bunch on my stream later today if you want to come hang out. I'm very scared of this SU-152, and that's why. One thing this tank doesn't do well, and it's pretty much to be expected, is the ability to tank HE is not really there, especially high caliber HE. It feels very much like an STB in that sense, where you've got like workable armor, but you're still very prone to high explosive. I hope that analogy makes a little bit of sense. We're gonna full commit on this 53 TP. Great shot in there. I'm looking for this SU. I'm looking. He's not gonna push. So I'm already in my head thinking T29. As soon as I get this track back up, we're going for the T29. I did advocate to use Deadeye on this, as I think Deadeye is a pretty underrated skill for autoloaders, or auto reloaders, same idea. We're going to full commit in here. You can see, as I mentioned, the gun handling being 0.4 dispersion and a 2.5 second aim time. It's definitely, like, you feel it right here. You feel it a bit, but I think so long as you're able to play this in an area that you want to, or that it can excel in, I should say, being, you know, the ability to play on a ridge, not moving too much, so on and so forth, up close, you can brawl pretty comfortably. The gun will work. We'll get another nice shot in here. I'm just going to fire on his left to make sure I pen that. I think I would have penned the front plate anyway, but there's no harm in ensuring we hit. You can see what happens, how long the reload is when we do dump the entire magazine. It's about 30-ish seconds, which is not unbearable, but it's not ideal. Not by any means. We'll push right in here. I'm going to look for the 110. You can see I fire the shot when it's white, and we do get a shorter reload. And that is, to my knowledge, how I understand it working. I'm looking for that track, we get a round in, end of fire, beautiful. It was a low roll, but we did make up for it by the fire. Nothing there, nothing there. We'll continue to push and go south. I don't think we'll get much on the Type 59, or I don't think we'll really get anything on that set of enemies. But we do have an unlit Beresk NWZ-120 that we can hopefully farm. By the way, I mentioned this before, but if you want to see more of this gameplay live, and hopefully when I have a better understanding of the vehicle, I'll be playing this on stream pretty much all night the day this video is uploaded. So feel free to come hang out. But we're going to push, push, push. I'm thinking the Beresk is going to be down on the ridge by the red line, and you can see I'm angling for that, but what I don't expect is him to be on my left. You can see I'm angling here a little bit for him. We do get a nice bounce, and I want to wait for that thing, that reload, to try and see if I can get it to work, just to kind of feel the vehicle out, but I decided it's better to get damage. We're up to 4.4k right now, which is pretty comfy. I'm looking for a shot in this WZ, but I don't think we're going to get it. Now, that'll pretty much cover the replay, but even downhill just there, we hit 38, I think. You're not really going to hit 50 in this. It's way, way slower than expected. I'm trying to wiggle a little bit, bait a shot into my tracks. He still fires it and pens. No big deal. Get a little bit of assistance. We might get 1 or 2 shots in, unless nobody else hits him. But we're just going to try and push, push. This is where that mobility really hurts you in the end. We get a nice shot in there, and he's dead. Now, one of the issues, as I mentioned, is that speed and that reload. So I guess not one issue, but 2. Those are really the only 2 critical things I have about this tank. Otherwise, it feels pretty comfortable. The gun handling, while on paper is bad, it's still going to be bad at distance, right? And even at close, you're going to derp some shots into the ground and stuff. But I feel if I had to give a general, like, 1 to 10 rating on this vehicle, I think I'd give it a firm 7. I don't think I can go higher than a 7. It's definitely not Progetto material. It's not Beresk material. And that is a very first impression. I've played, you know, less than 10 games in this at this point. So that might change, but for now, an initial feeling, I'd give it a firm 7. I couldn't go higher than that. The speed and the gun, like DPM, really hurt it. But it's still very capable. You know, we pulled 4.7 here, 5,300 assist in a tier 8. It's important to note this is a tier 8, and 4.7, I'd be happy in a Super Conqueror, for example. So it's not exactly like this thing can't do well. It absolutely can. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the review. Please come check out the stream. I'll leave a link in the description. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next one.